Come on, I'm getting way too horny now. You can't make me wait. Okay, thank you. Okay, is it going? Yes. Let me at least bring out my true form. Yeah, kind of. This is me, kind of, or a representation of me. I don't know. And you should see my weapons though. Look at this. Just take a look at it. It's amazing. Just look at it. It's amazing. Don't you love that? Okay, so let me at least go to a place where you can see my face, and then anyone can, you know, identify me as this long-haired asshole scout, and that's really fitting. Long-haired asshole, long-haired asshole, yes. So, what? You dildo. I don't know what you said, but I'm gonna watch it, and then I'll find out, and then I'll visit your house, and then I'll come destroy your ass with my robotic car. So yeah, I was asking the same about you. Where is oh fucking hell, Jesus Christ.
Medic!
I'm not good at this.
Medic!
Yeah.
Medic! Medic!
Okay, this is bonus footage. Free, you know, 2 for the price of 1. Final okay. Where are you? It's motherfucking Link. Why is it? Why? Okay. All right. You're pretty boy, Link. Okay, that's all right. Fits with Miniton's pretty boy. Link. Let me see if my window is closed. Okie dokie. Now we can read dirty shit in totally 420p. Oh yeah. You know you love it. Somewhere like some people do though. I seduce people for fun. Anyway, medicine's checkup. Blah 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 blah. Ooh. The intro, it's not very interesting. I'll send you the link, by the way, so you can, you know, so you can basically suck the cock of whoever wrote this afterwards and put it in the description of your video or whatever, you know. So here we go. Medicine's checkup. Alfred's fingers were black as a keyboard, rapid tap-tapping, filling up the silence of a mostly empty laboratory. Her enthusiasm was in overdrive, evident by the light sheen of sweat across her brow, as words poured down from the word documents she was currently using. Page after page had been filled with text, but it wasn't science she was working on. No inventions or notes for future experiments. From top to bottom, the document had been filled with her most important pastime after anime. Her tongue ran across hard muscled flesh, drenched with you asshole. You use this. Wait. Yes, use this, please. Yes, put that in console and you'll save your own life. Okay, you bastard. Put that in console. A voice ran across hard muscle flesh, drenched with sweat. She could taste it, and the flavor sent shivers down her spine. The noise of pleasure spurred her into giving another lick, this time dropping lower until Alfred. Oh, what? Jumping back from a computer screen, the scientist stood up straighter and peered over her shoulder. Okay, fucking auto. Leaning against the railing of the slowly chugging escalator was Metaton EX. His arms crossed against his chest and a slight frown on his face. When the escalator reached the landing, he stepped up it smoothly, reaching up to flick a few fingers through his glossy hair as he made his way into Alpha's desk. At the time was trying to hide the open documents of her most recent fanfiction to the bottom of the screen. "Oh, it's just you, Metatron." "Just me." A slim, sculpted brow quaked slowly as he came to a stop at the corner of a desk, resisting the urge to smirk at the way the other monster began to sputter and tug at the sleeves of her lab coat. I'm sorry for quirky movements, by the way, because of the auto cake or whatever it's called. Anyway. Oh, even now you're making those sort of noises. You know you love it. I didn't mean that in a bad way, of course. I was just not expecting it at all. She coughed and quickly adjusted her glasses, another nervous habit. The woman was full of them, each one more easily readable than the last. It's good for poker, by the way. Not expecting me. My daily checkup is scheduled for today. 10 minutes ago, in fact. I was waiting downstairs for you, sweetheart. Nathan tried his best to sound as put off as possible. The lights in his chest beeping as that blue tint while he pouted to the scientist. The corners of his mouth lifted slowly when Alpha shook her head in disbelief, checking and double-checking the current time from a computer. "Oh, I'm so sorry, man. I completely forgot. I'm so busy with my work. You know how it goes." She fidgeted, turning her computer chair to face him again. She tried not to move a minute and shifted his eyes towards the screws for a moment and stared for a long time, still looking rather amused. "Right, so busy writing my smutty fanfiction for your blog, right?" he asked casually. Alpha's cheeks flushed a dark red, a flustering rambling, returning with a vengeance. Of course not. Don't joke about stuff like that. She slapped her claw against the monitor and had the power button, but just in case he decided to check for himself. Try as she liked to hide it, there was no mistaking that glint in his eye. Okay. Let me see. Yeah. He knew all about her habits after all. It was a wonder she tried so hard to hide herself from him. Him, of all people. We can still check up. Come on, my things are just there. She started to rise, stopping when Metatron lifted a hand. She narrowed her eyes nervously, but her brows quickly shut up when the bot, that's kind of almost insulting, pulled his free hand out from behind himself and offered us a small case of tools. "There's no need, Alfie. I brought you tools right here. I figured you might be busy after all." He grinned slowly, generating a fresh new blush against the female's cheeks, as he used the tool case to shove aside Alpha's keyboard. She was left staring up at him in wonder as he lowered himself into a desk behind her, kicking one leg up to fall across the other. "You're welcome," he purred when she remained silent. She'd gone almost completely quiet. No. She had gone completely quiet, staring up at Metatron as he leaned back on his hand at the desk, as if he was posing for a photo shoot, looking so glamorous and beautiful that it was almost painful to gape, staring, like gazing directly into the sun. With little to no effort, he commanded attention, able to make even the harshest monster reframe with that smirk alone. She admired him so much for that, and yet she was technically his creator in a way. Would she be able to take some of the credit for his greatness, or had it simply been inside him all along? When she realized... When she realized he was still grinning down at her with a tilt of his head, she snapped her jaw shut and sat up straight again, sweat at her temples. Oh, all right. Sure, I can do it here, I guess, if you're in a hurry. She fished out a few tools from her case and scooted the chair closer to him, trying her best not to brush her arm against his thigh as she reached towards his soul box. Oh, God. Even with a chair lifted, it was rather difficult to reach his abdomen like this. Having been used to him laying down on the examination table, instead of sitting upright like he was.
Good eye.
Meditor must have noticed how she was struggling to make use of... Wait a sec. Alright. Yeah, this, I'm sorry for that. We don't want to mess up your boners. Anyway, Oh, I sure do. Sometimes people are easy to read, even from a bit of a voice thing. Anyway, let me, oh, yes. Let me, oh, yeah, okay. Blah, blah, blah. Having been used to him lying down on the examination table, instead of sitting down upright like he was, Meditor must have noticed now how she was struggling to make use of those short arms in this position. He chuckled, a noise that startled her into looking up. The glasses sliding down her nose. It's kind of interesting, by the way, how so many people make a fetish out of his heart thing. Here, look at dude like this, darling. The robot spoke in a low tone as one leg lifted high up in the air. Alpha's jumped, flesh covering her cheeks as Magdalne's spiked butt landed on the other side of her, pushing her computer tower until she was trapped between his legs, giving her ample room to reach his soul. Much closer, right? He chuckled as Alpha stammered and shifted in a chair, trying to and failing to appear calm about this situation. She could feel sweat running down her spine, unable to stop the trembling in her fingertips. It was closer, true, but more than being able to reach his soulbox in this position, she was also embarrassingly close to his crotch. And despite being made of various types of metal, there was a telltale warmth to his legs, resting on either side of her. But she couldn't tell him that. Couldn't say a damn word of it, knowing just how much MTT loved to tease her about her shyness. So instead, she swallowed audibly and leaned back to him, hesitating when the robot seated before him spread his legs a little further apart. Jaw tight and aching, Alphys flexed her fingers a little before gently opening up the latch to Mettaton's soul box, the brightly glowing heart pulsating inside. Distracted by the pretty purple hue, she relaxed and smiled, reaching with her tools to gently secure any, wait a sec, dear God. Oh, let me see. Oh, this is a pretty long fic, by the way. It also seems like an actual, really good one. Anyway, so, reaching with her tools to gently secure any loose wires and clearing out dust and debris. Spas or not, she prided herself on her work. It steadied her hands, her heart, her mind. She felt at ease when she was working. And damn her, the job well done didn't leave her feeling useful. She hadn't even flinched when Mettaton rested his hands on her hair, gently petting her head while she worked. He was the touchy-feely type, and though it often made her feel nervous, she was mostly used to it by now. He must have been happy to see the scientist smile like she was, knowing just how hard it was for Alphys to find something to feel proud of these days. But the peacefulness of the scene was quickly shattered when Alphys accidentally touched a tiny screwdriver to a sensitive wire. A light spark emitted within the soul box. Immediately, Mettaton's body shuddered and He dug his fingers into Alphys's hair, groaning deep in his throat. The sound of it, surprise layered heavily with pleasure, caused the spastic scientist to nearly drop her tools. A dizzying wave gliding through her brain. Her muscles tensed for a second or two, but she quickly pulled her hands away and looked at him, face hot and sweaty with embarrassment. Oh God, I'm sorry, Mettaton, I didn't mean to, she stammered, heart skipping a beat at the look on Mettaton's face, smirking down at her between his thighs. Don't worry about it, love. It's fine when you do it. He hummed to her, making her even more breathless by the way pleasure was waving through his words. Like someone who had just come out of a really, really good massage. Her fingers twitched nervously. Was he just teasing her again? Wait a sec. This mess. Anyway. Where are we? Yes. Yeah, was he just teasing her again? Alright, that little zap really felt good. It was difficult to tell how much he could feel in his current state, if robots experience pleasure and pain like humans and monsters did. But, according to him, he did, and often. I'm still sorry, you can go now, you're all good. She swallowed again, wondering idly to herself why her mouth was so full of so much saliva today. When she realized Mettaton wasn't getting up, wasn't pulling his hand away from her hair, she started to scoot her computer chair backwards. Gasping softly as Mettaton's legs stopped her, reading her back in slowly. As she switched her gaze up to his face again, her eyes widened, breath leaving her in a rush. The glamorous robot was still smirking at her, but the expression had changed somewhat. His vibrant eyes practically glowing, lightly fanged teeth exposed with his whining smile. Helpless and awestruck, Alphys could do nothing except watch as he reached up with one hand and brought a fingertip to his chest, circling a particular button that caused the whole body to twitch in reaction. The button was the same white color as the others, but only Alphys and Mettaton knew what it did. What was he doing? It's been a long time, Alfie. When are we gonna do that again? Mettaton purred. He didn't press his fingers into the button, just toyed with the possibility. Alphys couldn't look away from the sinful glide of his fingertip. She was stammering so much she needed to take a break to swallow. Her shallow breaths make it difficult to bring in enough air to her lungs. Once Mettaton suddenly pushed in the button and an array of lights flickered on his chest. Alphys squeaked and jerked back in a chair. No place to run. Come on, aren't you the one who said it's good for my circuits? He teased, running his fingers down his chest while a soft mechanical whir was heard within his crotch. They both glanced down to watch as the compartment opened up on his crushed plate, just in time for Mettaton's hand to reach and wrap his fingers around the long metal cock that began erecting from it. He helped it free with gentle pumps of his fists, tugging on the metal shaft while which Alphys stared in a stunned silence. A playful chuckle low in his throat, as though easing it right into the scientist's mouth like this was the easiest pie. The way her thighs seemed to be trembling so fiercely distracted him even more. There's no need to hold back. Come here, darling. Alphys squealed in surprise when Mettaton scooped her up from a computer chair, carrying her with ease towards the squawker on the other end of the room. Hitting a button with his head before he neared, the box shuddered and unfolded from its previous shape in order to return to its original state as a bed, clean and tidy. As Alphys was lowered onto it, she was still unable to look away from Mettaton's newly exposed cock. embarrassment fluttering around with eagerness in her belly.
Moving out.
Surely that been her creation, but the original idea had been Metaton. At least she thinks. It was difficult to remember when and where this add-on had been implemented, but ever since the flamboyant cyborg had been insisted on testing it out with Alphys to ensure it was still working, or so he claimed. Still in silence, she could do nothing but lie there as he grabbed the button from her sweatpants and yanked them off, tossing them over his shoulder and running a hand through his hair. Fluffs the burn at her cheeks as he left her like that, making her remember a time when he said he preferred that she keep the lab coat on when I did this. Perhaps he enjoyed making her keep it on because he figured she would always think about what they did while she weren't, which was somewhat true, try as she liked to ignore it. See, now isn't that better, dear Alfie? Metaton's voice shook her out of her thoughts, the deep rumble of it running down her spine as he leaned down to her, easing her legs apart. While his surprisingly warm lips traveled over her cheek, Alpha shuddered and gasped, tilting her head to the side. Seeing that as an invitation, he gradually brushed kisses down her jaw and to her neck, relishing it where every touch seemed to affect her more strongly than the last. She really was quite a sensitive creature. Oh, that's adorable. Even the light touch of his bulbous cockhead brushing against the crotch of her panties seemed to cause to jolt and respond. The thin, painfully plain white cloth already damp with need. Stutter and push all she was quite a lusty woman. Let me see. I'm kind of losing it, sadly. And that shy, twitching female was in the hands of a master. Letting him take her for a ride, Elvis whimpered softly and relaxed against the bed, laying Metaton gently about her lap coat just so his nibbling smooches could travel beneath a t-shirt and he could sink his fangs against his warm shoulder. The yip of pleasure that escaped her caused him to growl with delight, when it could tear moan after moan from his throat until she was hoarse. His own need burning within him, clever fingertips reached between their bodies to peel Alpha's panties aside. Hissing pleasure as the tip of his metal cock came into contact with the unbearable heat of the scientist's drooling slit. He teased them both like this for a second or two, tip up and down. Across wet flesh and letting it flick against the tiny top of her clit until she was bucking beneath him. Though he'd love to continue nibbling and nibbling against the sensitive flesh, he straightened his back out to peer down at her, finding her expression during the test to be the most delicious thing of all. Tortuously slow, Metaton began to ease the tip of his metal cock inside of Alpha's, watching it twitching body arc and shadow beneath him as she bit her bottom lip in efforts to keep her noises silent. He said it softly and showing that by the time it was finished she would be wailing long and loud enough, and Asgore himself could hear it, as the thick metal shaft split and drenched falls and slipping deeper. He rested a hand against her hip to steady her body for his penetration, but it was difficult. She squirmed so much quickly, gasps on her tongue, her mind was babbling, sprinkled in here and there. He loved watching her fly apart so easily. Craved seeing a lizard more than he craved the spotlight. Oh, what a beauty it would be if he would have the fame of fucking both in one. ravaging Alphys' painfully tight little entrances to an audience of hundreds, thousands all cheering for him to make a scream. The mere thought of it caused Militant to briefly lose himself, thrusting his hips against it until his crotch was flat against hers, cock buried to the hilt. Alphys cried, startled by this sudden fullness of him claiming her body. He could feel her inner twitches all along his shaft. If you want to, by the way, you can do Alphys' voice, but I'll continue. Her tight walls trying desperately to relax around the thick and through the stretching her apart. Sorry, love, he growled softly, biting at his bottom lip as he pulled his hips apart slowly. Watching as Alphys writhed in agony towards the loss of lust. It just feels so. Grunting, he thrust back into her, sparks of energy singing up from his spine. From the way she squealed in pleasure. Both hands reaching down to hold onto her hips, Militant began grinding his hips steadily, thrusting in and out Alphys at an even pace. Watching the contact of pink flesh and silver metal sliding wetly from between her twitching folds, he wasted no time in increasing the pace. His hips working like a machine to drill himself into his side into her trembling hands. He reached down. You bastard, I'm gonna use my metacard to fill you up. Anyway, where were we? Men over the slapping rhythmically against flesh filling the room. I'll just go standing with the record player stuff. Yes. Militant Viva. Okay, wait. He couldn't stop himself wanting more. Soon he was all out slamming himself inside the Alphys, the pad of metal slapping rhythmically against flesh, filling the room. Occasionally he changed the angle of his thrust, dipping low and jackhammering forward a few dozen times. Assaulting the spot deep inside of Alphys, and then screaming before she could slap a hand over her mouth. Militant's mind was on fire with satisfaction, running him mindless with pleasure. Alfie, he groaned softly, his thrusting hips slowing. When each thrust was once again a steady grind, he bucked his hips forward once, hard, in order to catch her attention. What? She panted. Lifting her head up from the bed, she was already a drooling mess, eyes dazed and confused. But still he wanted more. Reaching between them, he made sure she was watching as he pressed another button. Relishing the way, her focused eyes suddenly cleared and widened in surprise. Let me at least get to a proper place for this, by the way. Yeah, thank you. Oh, God. Sorry for that intermission. Cut it out if you want. Oh, God, fucking hell. At least the one I'm trying to get to where you were. It was a good place, you know. Let me see. Just, I think yes. Oh, yes. Okay, with the milk spray stuff. Anyway, now that we're at spring anyway, let's just do that. This is pretty awesome. Okay, so, where were we? Okay. Well, still inside of our Militant's cock shifted downward an inch or two, making room for a new addition to his lewd little party. A second shaft, the exact same thickness and length as the one beneath it, began to thrust outward from his body to join the first. A clear liquid was already dripping from the tip and creating a glossy sheen down the length of it. Twisting anticipation to join the fun. Slowly he pulled his hips back, groaning low in his chest until his first cock popped free from Alphys' body and sprang upward. Let me see again. Yes. Dripping with their combined juices and looking ready for more. Let me see. Okay. He watched Alvis as she stared down at the dual cocks for a moment, then glanced up his face. When the sensual robot wagged his brows at her teasingly, she rewarded him with a heavy, heavy blush. Another. No, exactly what he wanted. He continued to stare as the scientist began to shift her all over to her, onto her knees before him. Satisfaction, a hungry fire in his chest. He helped to get her into place, watching her body tremble to give her anticipation for what's to come. Don't forget to... Shh, I know. He hushed her softly, and the woman lowered her head towards the bed. Her wide hips safely in his clutches. He ran his palms over the thickness of her behind for a moment and made sure to shift her tail to his side, so he could see better. Pushing her cheeks together before spreading them apart, he let the lower cock, still covered in the juices, slide between her plump ass cheeks. He thrust a few times to make sure the fluids mixed, and spread along her holes before reaching down to ease at length right back into her pussy. Alphys shuddered in response, but she was being a lot more hesitant than before. Dual cocks was still rather new from them both, but Metaton has always made sure to prepare for it before entering with the second. So for a while, I simply pumped inside of her with one of his metal cocks, letting the second one hotdog between his cheeks, watching his shiny silver shaft slide back and forth and occasionally lifting it up to slap back down against the meaty flesh once or twice. Continuing to rock his hips into her rhythmically, he let her return to that state of mindless pleasure with each steadily fluid glide of his abs, rolling against her and rocking her against the bed, until he was satisfied with the panting moans and the way her claws were digging into her rump sheets. He slowly thrust down again, using a thumb to push his upper cock until the tip could prop the tight pucker of her asshole. Thanks to the shaft's eager laying, he could, wait a sec, dear God. Yeah, here we are again. Yes. He could smear slippery liquid against the second entrance and continue toying with her, experimenting with prodding a little harder each time. He could feel Alphys begin to tighten up, but he didn't stop, washing the thick pink cock at it, tight ring of a sphincter, and thrusting gently, pushing back and forth in short box shell, so that he could ease her into being stretched. It wouldn't take much, but he kept at it diligently, rocking slowly, gently, occasionally testing her by shoving it in more, and savoring her surprise quick in response. Finally he felt himself reach the hilt, styling as both of his cocks were firmly implanted inside her body. Alphys was panting, holding onto the bed so tightly his arms were shaking. Metaton smirked, stroking a hand over her plump ass to ease her nervousness. Good girl, he praised her. You took it all so easily, can you feel it? Unable to help teasing her, the whimper she responded with caused a secret hum of pleasure. I'm gonna start moving now. Ready? He whispered affectionately, not waiting for a reply as his hips pulled back slowly. Lips parted on a gasp. Bliss registered in his robot body like a wave from head to toe. He pulled back until just those two and cockheads remained inside. committing a sight to memory just before he thrust back in. Bottoming out within her in one quick pump. She squealed, he groaned. And like that, he fell back into that mindless need for higher states of pleasure. Lost. Tucking his head down, Mettaton rammed into Alphas, each rhythmic pump designed to make us scream. His cocks knew instinctively where the most sensitive spots were, and they assaulted them on each thrust inward, even as she tightened up against him, so he could oh wait, let me see, yeah, even as she tightened up around him, he couldn't help himself, bucking his hips against her ass and drilling her downwards into the bed, until his hands had to reach down in order to yank her hips up and against him, so he could continue to pump up at the perfect angle. His hair was a mess from all the movement, but he couldn't reach up to fix it, for us to stare through the dark locks at the bounding ass in his lap as he ravished his poor little scientist, sewing each and every moan and squeal into his memory banks. When he realized that she would respond to each one of his hungry crawls with a sudden clench of the muscles around his cock, he grinned slowly, tossing his head back and groaning, sitting loud enough that Alpha seemed to lose herself. What a little pervert, so delighted to hear the robot enjoying himself. Alpha's soft, panting whimper could barely be heard between the noisy slap of wet metal against drenched scales. What? He growled. But before she could warm him, her whole body spasmed and clenched, like a tight wet fist around his cocks while he pumped himself inside of her. As the scientist spasmed, Mettaton held on and grit his teeth, increasing the wild buck of his hips in order to milk every one of his pulsing twitches riding along the length of his cocks. His vision began to blur. There was a wild buzzing in his head, but he tried to make it last, bringing out every last shudder, working to make Alpha's pleasure last as long as he could imagine. It's as long as I want it to be, because I have the stamina for it. Anyway, well, it's almost done. I mean, a little sweet scientist has come already, so... But the tight grip of her muscles proved to me too much. The wildly pulsing heart resting within his soulbox pumped and glowed fiercely, nearly blinding him before he shut his eyes. Pleasure groaned. Pleasure soared, flooding his entire frame until he could not only manage to slam his hips forward at one last time and cry out. Shuddering all over, I should type Mettaton groaned loudly as his body emptied into Alphys's, thick hot liquid flowing into both of her holes that seemed to please Alphys to no end. Oh, let me see. Making a squirm on his cocks and tighten around him some more, body instinctively milking for every drop he could manage. And it was quite a lot, he made sure of that. You bastard. Prepare to get my metacock up your ass. Anyway, now I have to get back again. That's a very stupid intermission. You bastard. You're ruining the dirty fanfic. Yes, I am. I'm gonna finish this. We're recording this. Mr. Happy Dog. Please, leave me read dirty fanfics in peace. So, for the internet, everyone loves it. Oh, you've got to be kidding me. Well, anyway, okay, so, almost done. We're almost done. Almost done. So, the thick fluid filled Alphys up so much that with a gratuitous crunch of a noise it began to spurt out of her tightly stretched holes, making a sticky mess between their bodies. And across the thick expanse of Alphys's ass. Melaton shuddered once or twice more as the flood of it died down, his cock giving a feeble shudder, before finally emptying the last few pills out of their loads. He sighed heavily and reopened his eyes, taking a good look at the white goo slid across Alphys's gills and dripped down Melaton's abdomen. Satisfaction warmed him. And though he didn't want to apart from the gentle flexing squeeze of the aftershocks, he just had to see the end result close up. He pulled back slowly, smirking at the way Alphys shivered and whined before going limp again. And with a messy pop, both of his cocks came free, springing straight up once more, as if ready for another round. Technically, they were always ready, that was how they were designed. But Melaton himself was drained. Instead, he sat back on his heels and spread Alphys's arms in front of him, watching in pleasure as thick globs of white began flooding from both of Alphys's holes. Let me see.
You did well!
Oh God. Please, no votes. Well, we're almost done. Okay. Instead he sat back on his heels and... Okay. Dripping down against the equally white sheets beneath him. Pride filled him almost as strong as the pleasure fled intense fucking. He licked his lips as he reached down to run a finger from a gaping pussy up into a stretched ass, spreading his fluids around until Alphys cried out and screamed. "Melaton, quit it!" she squeaked, burying her face against the pillow. "You messed up my bed again." She complained quietly, but from the way her body was so limp and content, he doubted she minded. "Sorry about that," Melaton purred, sounding anything but. Done teasing her, he crawled over and lowered himself into the bed beside her limp body, catching her attention by running a palm over the top of her head. When the blushing female glanced over at him, looking like a hot mess from the squirming and waiting she'd been there, he grinned. "So how was that checkup? Am I up to code, my darling Dr. Alphys?" A hot blush bloomed across Alphys' face anew, and she buried her face against the pillow again, ignoring Melaton's amused chuckle as he looped an arm around her, forcibly tugging her body close and pressing a loving kiss to the top of her head. The